UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified. With regard to the importance of transparency, the Department is fully committed to the principle of openness and accountability to the American people.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude.
U.S. Navy personnel recorded what appears to be triangles, some flashing. The video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty high-profile incident. I don't claim to be an expert. You're the guys investigating it. I mean, who else is doing it?
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. We're already in the month of November. I was supposed to start the show and explain what I was going to do this week, but before I do that, this is dedicated to those who have been ridiculed, made fun of, and dragged through the media for the last 75 plus years. Need to get that in. I was supposed to be out in the future Las Vegas spaceport. They were having a stargazing out there last Saturday, and fortunately something happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened. They canceled it, and I had to run out and start getting ready for this week's show because my show is going to be primarily about that event. Sometimes things happen for a reason, and nobody knows why. In a matter of 3 hours on Friday, this was October 27th, I took about 8 videos. And in those 8 videos, I got 4 videos that showed UFOs going through the atmosphere and here in Pahrump. And I want to be able to show those today. And what we're going to do is going to be 4 segments. We're going to show a video, and then we're going to show 4 or 5 photos of what you were looking at. So what I want to do is I want you to understand that when we show the video first, we're going to repeat it or loop it, and that way it gives you an idea what you're going to be seeing in the still photos. I was able to get with the director, technical director, and he slowed it down 95%. And the reason why is because these objects were traveling so fast, and without the arrows pointing the way, you wouldn't be able to see them. So with that, we're going to show the first video of this segment, and we can do that now. Take a look at the arrow here. This object was going extremely fast, and we had to slow it down, as I said before. If you don't slow it down, all you see are little dots. And sometimes they can be annoying if you can't follow it, and I know that. So I'm trying my best to get my technical director to slow it down even slower than the super slow motion that I've been taking these videos on. In these videos here, I was facing, at this point here, I was facing west here. This is west from my house. So normally I face southwest, or I'll sometimes just dead north, but on this one here, it was west. There is really hardly anything out there in that particular area. And I'm going to ask my director here if he can keep repeating this because it's so fast. When you see the arrow, look at the dots and then follow it from that point. We try to gauge the speed here. I tried some calculations myself, and if I was in super slow motion and we had to slow this down 95%, I can imagine this craft had to be traveling between Mach maybe 20, because of the speed that it's going, even going down from super slow motion and taking super slow motion down 95%. That has got to be going Mach 20 at least. And if there's anybody out there who does calculations, as you can see, there is some background down there in the bottom. And if there's a focal point where they can actually figure out how fast this craft was going, I'd really appreciate it. I would like to know myself, and I'm sure that you out there would like to know how fast this craft was going if we had to slow it down that much just to catch it. The 4 videos that I took were taken within a 3-hour period, and that tells you a lot, because, as I said, I was supposed to be out there doing this stargazing, and it threw me for a loop. I had no idea what I was going to do as far as a show was concerned. I was going to have to go back to my archives. This will be the last loop here, and we'll go on to the first photo of this object. Now, I always take the leading edge. Whenever you see a video that I put on there, I take the very first darkest spot, which is the leading edge of the craft. And I know that it's tiny, and you know, in your television it may be bigger for you to see. Like when I watch these at home and I critique myself, I look at the first image. Is very important, and that's why I start putting or having them put arrows on it, because some people say, well, there's a speck there, but that doesn't mean anything. This is what was traveling through the atmosphere. You need to understand something that's so important, not only to people like myself who are ufologists and are looking for these objects that are traversing our atmosphere, but this was an object that was traveling in our airspace, United States airspace. This could be a tiny object, it could be a large object, but if you take a look at this, how many people would be able to spot this if they were walking outside and looked up? I don't think anybody would be able to spot it. And the reason why I got it is because, of course, super slow motion. Next photo. This is a larger, of course, image of it. As you can see, this started to leave a little bit of an entrail here. But now, as we go through these photos here, you're going to notice something, that this object, it keeps its shape. It doesn't start to turn into a diamond or a square. It keeps its original shape when it was going through the atmosphere. Now, I could have taken several of these stills, one from the beginning and then one at the end. And what I find is that they still keep their shape. They do not change. And as fast as they're going, if this was an object made on this planet, this object would be shooting out some kind of resistance, whether it be heat, whether it be flames. It would be emitting something from the back side. This object is not emitting anything. So let's go to the next slide. And I'm starting to use my different types of filters on this object to see if I can see any strange impingages, like if there's an antenna or if there's a nose to it, or anything that might give you some kind of understanding of what this craft is doing. It was just traveling. Now, this was going at an angle. It was going into, I don't know what I would call it. I guess if it was down degree, it would be something like a 90-degree angle coming down. And if you would think that bottom part would be facing more to the left, but it's not. It's just a egg-shaped craft that looks like it's just coming down without having to change its shape or trajectory. It gives you an idea that this craft is not touching our atmosphere at all. It is not touching our atmosphere. And I can say that because of what scientists have said. When they said that it emits a heat signature or density, which is the dark part, and then all around it, you have a lighter area, which scientists claim that is cold air. So why is it emitting hot and then cold, or density and then cold? Scientists do not understand that. That is not part of our physics, not at all. next photo and last of this one. As you can see, the dark part is the one I've been talking about. That's what they call density or even heat. The scientists have saying these it's giving off heat, and yet on the outer edge of it, scientists say, and I'm just repeating what the scientists are saying since I'm not a scientist. They're claiming that that's cold air, and again, not part of our physics because they are not part of our physics. They are way ahead of us in time. I couldn't even guess. If I say 1,000,000 years, I could be right, I could be wrong. But in saying that, we cannot duplicate what this craft is doing. Traveling as fast as it was traveling, we cannot duplicate that. Next week, I'm going to be showing you a jet aircraft that was moving across the sky. And in that aircraft, I caught a UFO going through the same video, and it was moving using the same streaks as you saw this one. I'll be showing that next week, and while the week is going by, I'm going to also try and get more of them. So I'll be stationing myself out in the yard trying to wait for aircraft to fly by and take more videos. So hopefully I'll have more than just one to show you next week. In Costa Rica, I had caught airplanes standing still in the sky and showing UFOs, but they were all stills. And when I looked at further pictures, the stills, the UFOs actually moved. So had I videotaped them instead of just taking photos that particular time, I would have caught a UFO moving while the jet airplane that travels between 130, 150 miles an hour when they're landing was standing still in the sky. So these are the kind of, if you want to say, lucky shots that we get. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that particular shot. But next week, I hope to bring you that particular shot. After we come back to the break, we'll go on to the next segment. Thank you. We're back. Thank you for those messages. The next video that we're going to be showing you, again, we're going to be looping this several times because these videos are so short. And the reason why they're short is because initially videotaping them in super slow motion, you only get 17 seconds. In reality, when I'm actually taking them, I have the camera on for 10 seconds. That's all I have it on for. But it gives you a 17-second spread when you're looking at it. But when we're seeing the objects that you're seeing, they only come out in a fraction of the time. So we have to stretch that particular area out so you can actually see what we caught on this particular video. It's really important because I had a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about how is it that it's always in the front of the video or the back of the video. It's not in the front and the back. It's in the video, but it depends on where the object is coming from. So say for instance, if it's coming out to my right and I'm videotaping, you'll see it dead center. If it's coming out within 3 seconds of the video, you'll see it come up from the top. It's just like a delay. And it's hard to explain, but from the years of videotaping and taking pictures, I found that I figured these things out. And the way I did it was I would wait for a car to pass by, and I would look at my timer, and I would start the video, and I can see when the car was going to hit, and then it slowed down, and then it wouldn't even move towards the 17 seconds. It's that dynamic that gives you these craft when they fly in. And remember, a car is traveling, at least down my street, they're supposed to be traveling 35 miles an hour. Those craft are not traveling 35 miles an hour. I can guarantee you that because they're leaving entrails. So with that, let's go on to the second video of the day. And again, we're going to loop this several times so you can see it. Starting at the arrow, you're going to see this craft move. And again, look at the flag. And I apologize for my flag. We've had a lot of windy days out here, and my flag is shredded. So I'm going to be replacing that. But as you can see, this craft was coming in a steep angle again. It looks like another 90-degree angle coming down, and it passes right over the top of my flagpole, and that's where it ended up. And believe it or not, this is only in 4 stills of the frame, and that's all we got. After that, it was gone. It was traveling so fast, we could not slow this down any more than that to catch it. Now, I'm sure that there is software out there, but it's time consuming. I spend hours and hours putting this together myself, and then I come into the studio and I take another maybe an hour, 2 hours just to get it straight, so you can see at least something that's in the atmosphere, and it's the only way that I can get things done. It's very, very difficult. A lot of people say, well, just show stills. Well, stills are one thing, but videos are another. I can't stress that enough. When you see something flying in the atmosphere, it doesn't make a sonic boom. It doesn't seem to make any waves in our skies, like a ripple effect. That tells you that this is extraterrestrial. I hear jets fly by once in a while. I hear helicopters all the time. But whenever I hear jets flying really, really high in the atmosphere, I can still hear them, and I can see them once in a while. Maybe the sun will catch a glimpse of it, or hit it rather, and you get a little bit of a shine off of it, and you'll be able to see it. Those are the ones that you want to capture, because that's where you see UFOs. They could be either following it, they could be crossing its line, whatever they're doing, whatever their science is to watch us, that's what they're doing. So this will be the last loop here of this one, and then we'll go on to the photos of what you are looking at right here. Okay, this is the photo, and as you can see, it's a still. And this object here, somewhat unusual to the person who's not used to looking at UFOs, because a lot of people say, well, I want to see a flying saucer. In a sense, these are flying saucers. I believe that when you see photos of slow-moving objects, I believe that many of them are not flying saucers with occupants. I believe that those are some kind of probes that are sent down. Because like last week, I showed you a UFO making a loop going supersonic. And I saw 3 objects, and those objects were just moving like they were slow, just like slow motion. And yet, the craft that was making the loop was going supersonic. So I believe that there are spacecraft, and I believe there are probes. And maybe those spacecraft are controlling those probes as they're down here, sent in from motherships out in outer space. I truly believe that's what's happening right now, that they're sending more and more probes, especially now that we have 2 ongoing major wars going on this planet. I'm sure that they're more intrigued than ever. Whenever we have some kind of a conflict on this planet, there are more UFO sightings. Now, that isn't what I'm just saying. That's history. That is fact. Many countries during World War II, they would call them Foo Fighters. Let's move on to the next photo as I'm talking. A little bit of a different angle. And we try to make the background a little bit darker so you can get a better image of this particular craft. Next photo. This is a close-up of it. As you can see, the flagpole is gone now, and we're zeroing in on it. But going back, during World War II, they were called Foo Fighters. They thought they were Japanese or German. The Germans and Japanese thought they were American or British. Conflicts on this planet have had such a history going back thousands of years, and even Alexander the Great during one of his wars said that he had 2 shields come down over his army and scared the daylights out of them, including the elephants that they had. And, so there's a lot of history out there. And in future videos, I'm going to be bringing you stories just like that and giving you a comparison of what they saw and then what pictures that I took, and look at the similarities. We even have coins that print UFOs on the coins. We got coins that have alien faces on them, grays. Where did they come from, and whose imagination was that? Next photo. As you can see, it's darker, starting to emit some fuzz around the sides. That is cold air. Whenever you see the density, that means the hot or density, as our scientists say, and the rest is cold air. Next photo. Okay, so here, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call the finished product. It's what I can do with my software. And if there are people, and I've had a lot of people write into me and tell me about the software that I use, that I should maybe try this or try that. I have a limited amount of expertise when it comes to using other softwares that I've been using for the last 2-3 years. And I'm not close to it. I will eventually move on to other software. But on this particular craft here, it never changed its shape. As you can see, it was going at a 90-degree angle from right to left, coming down. And again, it's oval shaped. It isn't shaped like a bullet. It's not shaped like any kind of object that we would be familiar flying around in our atmosphere. So some of the questions is, as you see this photo here, I believe this is the last photo of this series. If not, Mikey will go to the next shot. But I believe this is the last photo. I think I kind of lost count here. But if you look at this photo here, a lot of people say, well, how come you don't take pictures of flying saucers? Well, that's what these are. These are flying saucers. I don't believe they're probes because they're traveling too fast and they're too low. I believe the probes are staying up in the maybe 20,000 foot level, maybe even 30 and 40,000 foot level, because the 3 objects that the United States shot down back in February were in the 40,000 foot level. And they were not moving very fast. These objects are nowhere near that high in the atmosphere. They're very, very low. As you can see, when it was coming down, my flagpole, I was shooting. I wasn't shooting in no 90-degree angle. I was basically shooting level because if you remember the trajectory of the flagpole, I was facing a little bit up, so not even a 45-degree angle. So this craft was coming down rather fast and not leaving any kind of streak in front of it, but it was leaving entrails. There was about 4 to 5 entrails at any given time. If you slow it down, the video, you could have seen how many it left. So how fast it was going, I'm sure there are people out there who could figure that out. Depending on the camera and the speed. I use the Ultra 23 and I get 200 megapixels. If that helps, there are people out there that are a lot smarter than me when it comes to technical knowledge, understanding of movement. When you're taking videos or photos, the settings, I don't have all that. I just aim my camera and it's set for infinity, I believe, and I catch what I catch. So with that, that should end that part of this segment. And when we come back from the break, we're going to go on to the next one, which I think you're going to find very interesting, because remember I said I took all 4 of these videos within a 3-hour period on the 27th of October. So that's an interesting thought, that I could take within 3 hours, I can get 4 videos of these craft. We'll be right back. Okay. Now, the first two segments, we showed you one video each and some photos. So what we're going to do here, we're going to show you two videos at separate times, but I'm going to rush through this because I want to get to the last phase. I want to be able to talk a little bit about a very special gentleman that I found very interesting. So let's go on with the first video. And again, we're going to follow the arrow. You can see the flag is moving in very, very harsh movements. And that's because we slowed this video down again 95% from a super slow motion. Now, you'll look at the arrows and you'll see it go by real fast. You have to look at it to see how fast this was traveling. As soon as you see the arrow pop up, try to follow it. That's how fast that craft was traveling. And as you can see, I'm facing a level playing field. I'm not facing a 45-degree angle. I'm not facing a 90-degree angle. But yet you can see this craft traveling at a level trajectory. And it's really interesting that I caught this one. I went through it about maybe 30 times, and I just happened to see one of the shots when I was videotaping. After I videotaped it, I just happened to stop it, and there it was. So I knew there was something on the 17-second delay. You can see how the flag moves, kind of a rough. That's skipping frames. That's the reason why it's moving like that. We'll loop it one more time, and then we'll go on to the photos, and we'll show you what you were looking at. And you know, it's so interesting as you look at this last loop here, how scientists can say that there's no proof. How is it that I can get videos and photos, and scientists out there with $1 million projectors, videos, cameras, they can't get it? That's what you were looking at right there. That is a spacecraft. There's no other way to say it. It's a spacecraft. Next photo. I centered it here. I left the sky the same. And it's kind of funny because you see that tree down there. That's where I actually saw this photo on the video. When it was going by, this is the one I actually captured, and I judged it by that tree. And I went back and forth until I finally saw the object go back and forth. It was very fast for me, and I tried it with my finger to slow it down, speed it up, and that's the best I could do. Next photo. Okay, that's a close-up of it. And as you can see, this is not an insect. Unless an insect can go supersonic, this was not an insect. Let's see if it keeps its shape in the next photo. It's a closer view of it, but if you take a look at it, now it was going from right to left, but in human thinking, we think it's going from left to right because it looks like it has kind of a nose to the right side of it and a blunt side to the left of it. But no, this is traveling from right to left. The last photo of this is a complete image of it using my software. Again, how many times have I said this? How many times am I going to say it in the future? It kept its shape. It's emitting a density in the center, or heat, as our scientists claim, and then it's got light on the outside of it. It's to me, it's distorting our atmosphere. It's not showing any kinds of streaks, and yet it's traveling through our atmosphere. It is an object. I can't tell you if it's a mothership because it doesn't look like it was that far away. So it may have been just a saucer shape, and I'm sure their saucers come in all different varieties. Just like our car manufacturers, we have all shapes and sizes. They have all shapes and sizes, but there's fly. Going on to the next video. Again, we're going to slow this down. Again, 95% from a super slow motion video. See if you can follow it. And as much as we slowed it down, look how fast this thing is traveling. And I have to thank my director, Rodney, for helping me on this, because without his help, I could never do what he has done. We're going to loop this several times because you can actually follow this with the arrows and watch this thing come down. This was coming nearly straight down from where I was videotaping it. And so I asked the question to, say, aerospace engineers, scientists that study gravity, who study our atmosphere. I like to ask them, why isn't this object, or objects just like the ones I've been capturing, why aren't they leaving sonic booms? Why aren't they leaving ripple effects, pushing the sky in front of them away from them as they're traveling or traversing through our atmosphere? And again, this is our atmosphere because those are clouds. If this was behind the clouds, we wouldn't catch it. So these are UFOs in our atmosphere. I can't stress that enough because NASA scientists and other scientists around the world say, well, there's no proof yet. There's a lot of proof. You just have to believe that what we're capturing here are actually extraterrestrial craft in our atmosphere. Can we stress that enough? That's why in the beginning of my shows, let's loop this one more time and then we'll go on to the photos. I say this all the time in the beginning for those that were being made fun of throughout the years, the last 75 plus years. You've been vindicated because you were right. What you said you saw. I believe you. And even though many people have gone already, passed on, and I cannot come to them and show them what I've taken, I would have loved to have done that, and I'm sure I would have had a huge smiles on these people's faces because of what they went through. This goes to show you, this was actually the whole sky here. When we videotaped it, we actually brought it in so you can see it. We zeroed in. But this is the complete video here, what you would have saw in the video. You wouldn't have been able to follow that spacecraft flying through our atmosphere. It was that small. But by zeroing in on the video and then slowing it down 95% of a super slow motion video, you were able to capture it. Next one. Gives you an idea. It's a little dark object. Again, I got the lead part of it, which is the darkest. It is always the darkest when it emits something from behind the entrails, is what I call it. They usually start getting lighter and lighter and lighter until they're gone. Next photo. Here you can see that there is kind of an arrow shape to it, but it's backwards. The point is in the back, where when it was coming straight down, it looks like it was backwards. Again, human thinking, human understanding. Our terminology as far as understanding aerodynamics, and I'm not an aerospace engineer, but I can still use those words because any sensible person who sees an airplane flying, they know if it's traveling from right to left, they know the nose is in the front. Well, this object, the nose of it in our thinking is in the back as it was coming down. It was coming down, it seemed to be coming straight down when it was traveling, and yet the pointy area is in the back. That's something we still don't understand. But if you look at this particular photo here, it looks like there's a little bit of lighting in the front of it, like fighter jets leave when there's a missile shot at them. They shoot out flares. This seemed to have emitting some kind of flares in the front of it. Is that part of the propulsion system that they're using, pulling in gravity? Who knows? Next photo. A close-up of it. And this is the interesting part of this. It shows you several different areas. You got the density part of it, and then it shows a lighter part of it, and then you can see the cold around that part. Sometimes you get 2, 3, and 4 of these different areas of shade. And I think that is so important for a scientist to look at because, as I said, this seemed to be traveling straight down, and it had a kind of a diamond shape to it, but the leading edge that we would think would be a pointing part, it's not. I believe this is the last photo. We have one more. That's it. That's the end of it. And so this gives you a better idea here. Take a look at the center of it. You have mass. It's shaped kind of like what we would call a airfoil that is good for outer space. The delta wing, if you will. And then you got your purple color there. I believe that has to be some kind of electromagnetic field around it. And then you got the cold air, which is the light blue that it was emitting. But if you look at this and study it, and I'm sure that there are people out there who have the answers to what I'm saying. To me, a lot of what I'm saying is garbled because of the fact that, as I said so many times, I'm not a scientist, but as an analyst, I take a look at the leading edge, and as it was coming down, you would think that the dark part would be solid and in the front, but it's not. Remember, this is coming down, and yet it leaves a haze, a purple haze, and then it leaves a lighter bluish green haze around that. What propulsion system they were using, if it's some kind of inertia that's making this happen, those are all questions that I'm sure is left to the scientists, and I'm sure that they have looked at videos similar to mine because they're out there. We'll be right back. I hope you enjoyed the 4 videos as much as I have. After all, I put in nearly 60 hours of video footage and of editing. So I hope that these videos bring you comfort in knowing that there are people like me out there, ufologists, who are looking into the skies and are proving the government wrong when they say that there is nothing out there, there's no proof. There is proof, and I just showed it in the first 3 segments of this particular show. I found something that was really interesting that I wanted to end the last segment with, and that is an astronaut that I have a lot of respect for. And I'd like to go to his photo and show you a little bit, tell you a little bit about this gentleman, and read a little bit of his bio. And I thought this was so interesting when I was first researching him. I kept wondering, well, who is this guy? I mean, I've heard of him, but I really didn't know a lot about him until I researched him. And I thought it would be better for me to tell you about him instead of just showing you different photos and whatnot about him. His name is Franklin Story Musgrave, born in 1935. He's an American physician and a retired NASA astronaut. He's also a public speaker and consultant for Disney Engineering Group. This man, he is so smart that he has 6 formal degrees. In 1996, he became the only second astronaut to fly on 6 space flights. He is the most formidable educated astronaut with like I said, with 6 academic degrees. I got to tell you, the man is something else. You know, to have 6 degrees and be able to become an astronaut and whatever else he had in his background, just an incredible individual. Now, in saying that, I want to show you something that this gentleman had said publicly. I'm not making this up. This is public knowledge. So let's go to the next photo. And you can read that for yourself. And it's clear to what he's saying. It's not just on one, but on two of his space journeys. He saw a 6 to 8 foot long eel serpent-like creature. Now, why is that important? When somebody quotes a gentleman with that many degrees, evidently is a brilliant person. And when somebody quotes something like that, it's the truth, because he came out and said it on television. Next photo. This is not exactly what he saw. Obviously, that's a serpent, snake. Looked like a cobra to me. But he said this several times while being interviewed. The thing about this is, when people say, well, it could have been a glitch in the glass when he was looking out. It could have been something on the camera lens. He said he saw it more than once. And why is that so important for me to say that? Well, no disrespect to him or any other astronaut who have come out and said things similar to what he has said. But in ancient times, we have had accounts of people who've written statements and also drawings of serpents. So on the next photo I'm going to show you is basically a serpent that they call the alien presence. Now, they had seen this serpent in ancient times. There's actually tapestries and paintings that show snakes, and a lot of people, or serpents, a lot of people don't realize that the serpent in, say, Egypt was worshipped. But here's the important part. Why are they showing serpents in regular tapestries of everyday people? But the snakes, serpents, whatever you want to call them, worms, they're on the side of the tapestries, the paintings, and most people thought they were there for decorative viewing, and decorative viewing only. Well, I don't believe that's the case. I was in Beatty, Nevada last year, taking pictures of the mountain area. The mountain area is approximately 5 miles away. And I was able to take a shot that I still can't explain. Now, what we did, we blew this shot up because it was in the very top upper left corner of the photo. So this is what I took. This was in the sky. This was in the sky. I don't know how else to say it. It was up there, and there was nothing around it. I looked at the photograph that I took. I did it on a high-resolution camera, and I took a look at it real closely, and it seemed to have windows on the top shiny part of it. The sun seemed to be illuminating the very top of it for some reason, but not the rest of it. But on the bottom of it, you can see that it has some dark spots, and I thought those were windows. I'm not exactly sure, but I thought those were windows. Whether or not this is just a spacecraft, but this is what they could have been seeing hundreds and even thousands of years ago. Again, you can see depictions of objects similar to this on tapestries and paintings, but they make them look like snakes because that's what they would look at these objects and think they were. flying snakes, or maybe a snake for some reason got caught in the wind and it flew in the air. But let me show you. I got a photo here I'm going to hold up. And you can see down here, this right here in this corner here is the rock formation. And on the other side here, there's some plant life. But it was taken in this corner here is where that serpent was. I know it's light and you can't see it, but this is where that serpent was. And it was just a real small area. And that's the reason why we blew it up. Because I wanted to, if I would have showed you this photo on TV, you wouldn't grasp what we saw. And that's why it was so important for me to show the picture of it. Again, this was taken in Beatty, Nevada. And in an upcoming video, I'm going to be showing photos of Beatty and what I found there. There seems to be a lot of craft flying over those particular mountains. Now, I was facing north from Beatty. There's a little Denny's restaurant there in the casino, and I come outside and I just face north and I start taking pictures. And I've got a lot of videos and a lot of photos of objects, but they're so far in the distance that I haven't really taken a better look at them to get better resolution to see what they were. But on this particular shot that I showed you of this serpent, I believe, and I looked through the internet, and there's only 6 good photos of what they call serpent photos, UFOs, serpent UFOs. I believe they said there's only 6 of them. They're not counting mine because I wasn't part of that grouping that they were talking about. So whether or not this was a classical serpent UFO or something just falling out of the sky, I can leave that up to you. On the last photo that we're going to show is again in Beatty, and this is an image here that we're going to zero in on that object on the top, near dead center. There's an object up there above this barbecue restaurant that's in Beatty, and it was just sitting up there. Very, very tiny, but it was sitting up there. And what that object was, I can't tell you. It had some rainbow colors to it, orange. It kind of looked like a caterpillar or a snail with a lot of vibrant colors on it. I think that, did we zero in on this, Mikey? There we go. That's what you want to see. Okay. My brain kind of got stuck there. I knew there was a zero in on it. This object was up there. Again, Beatty, Nevada. And if you ever go there, take pictures. You'd be surprised what you see out there. What this object was, I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. It doesn't have a dark shape to it. It doesn't have a glowing shape to it like we see in the sun. It was just up there. And you can see from the beginning of the photo, look how far away it is. We zero in on it. And that's the best we could do. When we started coming any more than that, you start to get a lot of distortion, fuzziness, and it just didn't look like something you'd be interested in looking at. But that's the best we could do. And I thought that was so important for me to show that the last shot for this particular video. I'd like to hear from you. I've heard from several people, and they seem to ask me the same questions. A lot of people ask me the same old questions, and I don't mind repeating them because it's so important. Mostly, they fear these objects. You don't have anything to worry about, believe me. They're not here to hurt us. They're here to monitor us. I want to thank you for staying with me for the hour, and if you can look into your heart to support me. We have the 2 things that I sell here just to keep my videos going for $25, and for $20. And I hope that you can support me, and I appreciate it. Thank you.